Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro, and it's time to review MaXXXine. This is the third film in the X trilogy, directed by Ty West, which started out with the slasher film X, the semi-slasher film, but more character study, prequel Pearl, and this, which is, in a sense, a slasher film, but also an amalgamation of retro 80s types of things.
The detective movie, mystery. Really, it's a mystery, kind of. It's trying to be a lot at once.
It is trying to be a lot at once. It follows MaXXXine, the character who made it out of X, the first film. And like every protagonist in this trilogy, she wants to be a movie star.
And I would say that's about all her character is. Like, her character is so much just the desire to be that I felt like I didn't see quite enough from her. I wasn't that satisfied with this MaXXXine Minx. You know, maybe unlike the name promises, she may not live in the ranks of the most interesting or iconic Hollywood stars as a character. I just didn't think there was that much there to sink my teeth into.
I mean, Mia Goth is definitely up for the task of giving this character a big, bold personality, and she's been really amazing in all these films. But
I love her accent. Like, I love what she brings to the role, like her charisma, her walk. She's perfect. She's very entertaining, but there could have been more, given that Pearl centered her performance so much, and that was like the movie's biggest asset. I feel like this doesn't use Mia Goth to her fullest capacity just because the character doesn't feel as interesting.
Yeah, she feels a little bit more like a wind-up doll where you like pull the string and she goes, "I'm a movie star." I don't really know what else there is. I mean, to be fair, the main character of all three of these films has just been a kind of vacant desire to be a star. But in Pearl, it fleshed out that desire so deeply. It contextualized it with the time period that she existed in. It gave her a lot of backstory, and it gave her a struggle where she wanted to be a thing, but then wasn't the thing, and that gave her like an incredible amount of cognitive dissonance. There was a tension there that was interesting to watch. The character in this film is on a journey to cleanse herself of her past so that she can become this movie star. But it doesn't even feel like cleansing herself from her past is like this price that she needs to pay or this tax.
It's a physical goal she needs to surmount because she needs to make sure she doesn't die in pursuit of becoming a movie star. Like, she can't die before she has to be in the movie. That's really the plot, is it not? She's just trying not to die. And she's good at acting.
Yeah.
And so there's no tension there,
There's
really.
no internal conflict, unfortunately.
She'll do what she has to do to make it, and that is her character at the deepest level. So she's not really unpredictable.
There's a scene early on that I really liked that shows that MaXXXine is not going to be messed with. If anything, these criminals should be scared of her. It seems to be like a first taste of just what she is capable of. And I feel like we didn't get that escalation that this scene early on seemed to hint.
We could have seen her go a lot further than she did. I feel like it didn't fulfill its promise to show us what she's truly made of. And we could go to the extent where we're almost scared of her, or almost see her become like a villain in her own sense, but it's not doing that. I think the movie is primarily interested in indulging itself into the 80s period and hearkening back to a bunch of genres that the director is interested in and wants to emulate.
The director is clearly very excited to plunge into the 80s and play with some of the things going on at the time, from the Night Stalker, who's a real serial killer, and this Christian movement that was against horror films. Like, there's a lot in here. There's a lot of influences.
It's funny too, because the film being about these Christian fundamentalists against the horror movie industry, that this film is not that edgy. It doesn't even go quite as far as these edgy films that it is emulating go in terms of displaying like horror or sex.
I also thought in terms of genre thrills, this movie didn't dig hard enough into one area. I felt that the horror was a little sparse here. It wasn't that compelling as a crime or a mystery film, and it just felt like it wanted to be so many things. Or even just to be like a really fun, campy movie. I was just kind of stone-faced watching the movie, unfortunately.
And when it does indulge into these genres, it's not doing it to a maximal level. If your film is just toying with genres, then like go all the way there instead of doing like a little bit here, a little bit there, and then the movie, big picture, just ends up not being that much. There's a few scenes where it's trying to shock you and do something that you haven't seen before, and some of those work well, and I think most people are going to find those satisfying, and that the movie does pay off in some moments, but I think those are just moments. I also feel that the mystery plot really didn't pay off very well, and that the antagonist was strangely flat and uninteresting to me. The psychological connection to the antagonist is not that interesting either, and they try to like play into that. There are some parts that are just sort of funny, and they're a little cartoony, cartoonish. But weirdly, instead of laughing with the film, I just felt like it wasn't enough payoff. I saw this film being pitched as a Gayo horror movie, and there's really only one kill that does the by-the-book Gayo style. And it was a fine emulation of it. But there's also an element of this scene that I thought was very distasteful, and I think a lot of people will feel the same way. And I don't know how it was so glaringly overlooked, and especially in the context that the film does not have that many kills, it feels even more strange. So I think there was just a short-sightedness. I don't know how that happened. It was just, there's a bad taste in my mouth from that scene. I mean, what does this film have going for it? We've been really critical. I don't think it's bad. I think it's just
lacking. It does have a very strong aesthetic. I think the cinematography is mostly strong, the retro 80s style. Some nice looking compositions and lighting choices throughout.
Yeah, there's enough style to keep you on your toes.
The score was a cool blend of ideas too.
I didn't even love the score, honestly. Even the cinematography, I thought it was too grainy and dark in certain scenes that it looked just underlit for no good reason.
I think that was sometimes true, but for the most part, I thought it was very good. You can definitely feel the energy of Ty West, the way that he'll blend certain scenes together, some of the editing choices and stylistic choices varying from scene to scene. Like, he does inject a lot of energy into it. The performances are fun. Some of the supporting characters are very cartoonish and big, like Kevin Bacon.
I liked Kevin Bacon. I liked Elizabeth Debicki in it. Overall, Ty West is trying to make a movie that's just a total blast and where you have a lot of fun, and it just wasn't fun enough. You know, we can freaking forgive a movie for not being that deep, or even if the character wasn't that interesting, but if you're gonna go all out for fun, I just don't think it was that much of a blast. I thought it was just good. My heart rate wasn't really elevated much at any point. I would give it a 5 out of 10.
I would also give this movie a 5 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
You trying to break out of the porn industry?